In the U.S., a lease for gas exploration or drilling is usually between the lessee, an oil or gas company, or a broker who intends to sell the lease, and the lessor, the landowner. It's a contract that's legally binding to protect the investment and profit of the company and the protection and profit of the landowner. Leases always used to be secret, but now many are open so people can compare. Leases must meet all existing laws. They all have some standardized sections that determine activities, rights, and other obligations, but certain parts are unique to that single contract. You can always negotiate a lease and you do not have to accept it. It's not one size fits all. When negotiating, it's essential to have an experienced lawyer because the smallest difference in the language can make a big difference in what happens afterwards. Here are some of the basic sections of a gas lease, what they mean and why they matter, so you have some basic information to start with. This is not a substitute for a lawyer. It's not legal advice. Here are the top 12 things in most gas leases and 6 more things that are good ideas. First, a property description. Where is the property in question? How much land is involved? And so on, to identify it. Second, the length of lease. The contract will specify the pre-production primary term of the lease and the payments that go through that period. The secondary term automatically starts when gas production starts for as long as production lasts. You might want to ask for the right of first refusal instead of this automatic renewal, because if another company is interested and makes an offer, the first company must match it. Third, the money, the gas lease payments. There are 3 different types: a bonus for signing the lease, royalties, which are a percentage of the value of the gas from your well, and the annual rental payment. If the rental payment is paid with a bonus, it's called a paid-up lease. The lease should also say when payments will happen. Failure to make payments may cancel the lease, but only if it is so stated in the lease. A shut-in royalty pays you if the well is drilled, but the gas is not sent to market after a certain length of time. Many states have a minimum royalty that must be offered, but sometimes a landowner can get much more through negotiation depending on the value of the geology. Surface and subsurface rights. In a lease, you give certain surface and subsurface rights to a company. First, what are you allowing them to drill for? The more specific, the better. Second, most standard leases give a lot of surface rights, access to your land, to the company to do testing, to put in roads, storage equipment, and to drive, park, and walk all over it. But do they have the right to cut down some of your trees? Put in a road wherever they want? Drill near your building? Put a condenser in where you'll hear it all the time? You do have some say in this. Other land issues include a pew clause, which gives you the option of separating the acres the company is not actively using and allows you the possibility of leasing them separately. And the company will need pipelines, transmission lines, to get the gas out, but some leases give blanket access to the company to put in pipelines wherever they want. Water. Gas drilling demands a lot of water. The lease can determine if the water is from your well or pond or is brought in from somewhere else. It can cover testing your water to see if there's contamination. It can cover how the wastewater is disposed of, which can have big environmental consequences. Liability. A liability clause makes sure you are compensated if the company's activities damage your property and that the company is insured to cover those damages. 10th, indemnity. Most leases have a clause requiring the gas company to indemnify you from any liability that happens to someone else as a result of the drilling on your property. The company should be required to hire an attorney to defend you in the case of a lawsuit. 11. Force majeure is a change in production based on something that's beyond anyone's control, the proverbial act of God. And finally, the last thing you'll usually see is dispute resolution. which will set forth how and where disputes between the parties will be resolved. A lot of things can be added to a lease, and these are some of the most common and useful to the lessor. The right to audit, so you can check their books and make sure they're paying you correctly. Market enhancement. Some companies want to deduct their post-production costs or deductions from the royalties they are paying you. Talk to a lawyer before agreeing to this. Good faith. Is the company actually actively trying to get the gas out of your land or just holding on to the rights? You can also ask for certain environmental practices that are beyond the standard environmental laws in your area. Restoration will decide how they restore the land after they're done putting in the well or at the very end. And last, site-specific concerns. Often farmers, hunters, and other people have special concerns that can be added into the contract.